that's what it's about today. The Adventures of Captain Copter and Commander Cassidy in Potato Land. Now this is an album I had when I was 15. And I've still got it. Came with a comic at the time. There you go. You can read his adventures, had lyrics. You can even draw your own Potato Man. Even though I never did. So it must be worth a fortune now. 20, 30 quid at least. Anyway, it was a couple of days ago that I was out and I saw a guitar that reminded me of this album straight away. Not because Randy California of Spirit played this guitar, because he played a Stratocaster, even though it was heavily modified with a couple of humbuckers and switches that went out phase and God knows what. Fantastic guitarist. Somewhat of a child prodigy. He was 15. Played with Jimi Hendrix. Anyway, this is the guitar. Look at that colour. It's brilliant, isn't it? It's a copy of a Fender Telemaster. It's a custom built one. It's got a Fender Telecaster neck, but it's got the offset shape that the Telemaster had. But a brilliant guitar. But the colour reminded me of that album straight away. Now, I'm not going to bore you and go on and on about Randy California or Spirit, because there is a lot of information out there on them. But I suppose I better tell you a little bit of background. He was born in 1951, Randy Wolf, and he was moved to New York by Ed Cassidy, who was his stepfather, and also the drummer of Spirit, in 1966 when he was 15. Now, he met Jimi Hendrix in a guitar store called Manny's, and he jammed with him in the guitar store, and the story goes that Jimmy asked him to play with his band, Jimmy James and the Blue Flames, and he did for much of that year in the Cafe War, I think it was, in New York. Now, obviously Chas Chandler took Jimi Hendrix to UK to become famous, and there's a couple of stories saying that Jimi Hendrix wanted to take Randy California, but because he was 15 his parents would let him go, or that Chas Chandler scuppered his chances because he was too young and he didn't want the responsibility of a child with him. I don't know if either are true, them stories. Maybe you can let me know in the comments below. By the way, if you do like the lesson and do like the video, I'll do more. So if you click like and subscribe, then I can get round to it. I'm going to try and do a couple of obscure songs that are not really out there. So I did a search on Spirit, and apart from Nature's Way being very predominant, there's not a lot of songs of theirs that are up for lessons for people to learn. And I think it's a shame because he did a lot of good songs around in California. Fantastic guitarist, but really good at putting some simple chords together to make some like fantastic melodies. He had a fantastic falsetto voice, and it was brilliant. He was absolutely fantastic. I think very underrated as a band. Sadly, he died young, Randy California, in 1997, saving his son from drowning. His son was Owen, 12 at the time, was caught in a rip current, and Randy California jumped in, managed to push him to safety, but sadly perished himself, which is a heroic death, but also, you know, a terrible death. Very, very young. He was only 45, very talented. What a waste of talent and a waste of a life anyway. But, you know, that's what happens sometimes, isn't it? But anyway, the album I wanted to focus on, and that song was Turn to the Right from this album, as it was my favourite album of the time. Now, there is a few other albums that I've still got. Farther Along was a fantastic album, brilliant. Bit of jazz, bit of folk, bit of acoustic, bit of even orchestral. It's got Nature's Way orchestra version on there, which is brilliant. And Kahuna Dreams, Future Games. What an album. What an album. Now, I think he recorded this album mostly just him and Ed Cassidy, as he did this one, Potato Land. And they were both recorded in the 70s. Now, this was early 70s, 72, 73, the original recordings come from. It was originally meant to be a double album, two-story album, a double album. But Mercury refused it, and I think then he refused to put it. I think he pulled it. Randy California, that's one story I've heard. He didn't want it released in the cut-down version that it was released by Beggar's Banquet in the end. That's the label I've got it on. And I think he only released it then because a fan had petitioned him in the UK and given him a piece of paper with 500 signatures, or 5,000 signatures, should I say. And then he went back and he released it just purely for the fans. But I think he always did want it released in its its full glory, which was a double album. And in 2006, sadly, quite a while, nearly 10 years after he died, they did release it in a box set, 4 CDs that's got every recording on it. I think as much as they could rescue from the original recordings, and plus it's got a lot of live recordings on it as well. But anyway, let's get back to the lesson. I'm teaching Turn to the Right because it's an excellent riff-based song, really got a funky riff to it, and it's brilliant, and it's really reminiscent of Randy California's guitaring and his catchy guitar, and he had some excellent guitar lines and excellent guitar riffs. A lot of his stuff sounds very simple, but it's very tricky to play. But if you stick with it, you will be able to play it. So I hope I've taught the lesson properly, and I hope you do enjoy it. If you do enjoy the lesson and you have enjoyed the video, I'm going to try and do a few more. I think what I'll do is I'll concentrate on the more obscure bands in the UK. I know Spirit are pretty big in the USA. I'm not sure whether they're the cult and underground following, but there is a lot of good sites out there. I'll try and link to a few in the description, so you can read up about them. But definitely a band worth investigating if you've not heard them. Oh, excellent, absolutely fantastic, and live they were unbelievable. Anyway, I'll get on with the lesson now, and hope you enjoy it. And like I say, if you do enjoy it, please click like and subscribe. Thanks very much. Right, what I'm going to do is break the song down into 3 different riffs. The last one isn't really a riff, it's more a collection of chords, but I'll break it down into 3 sections just to make it easier. Now the first riff is this. Okay, now that goes all the way through the verses, okay, and then again after the chorus, just keeps looping, yeah? So all I'm doing with that is using the C note, which is 3rd fret, 5th string, that note there. If I use that finger, I might make it easier. Okay, there you go, on off. So hold it down, and then the open A string, 5th string. Okay. Okay, and then we use the G note, which is 3rd fret again, 6th string, back to the open A string, 5th string. Okay, and in tune or in time is this. Okay, and then to practice the rhythm, it's okay just to use the notes. Okay, but what Randy does is he's barring an A chord. Okay, with his 1st finger, which is just these strings. And muting the bottom string. Okay, so it's just an A chord, but held with your 1st finger, barring it. Okay, and all you do is the same note, okay, same C note, but instead of just playing the open string, you play the chord. And straight away that gives it a lot more body. Okay, then the last notes. Okay. What he does on some of them, okay, if not most of them, he hits that A quickly twice, that A chord. Yeah, 1, 2, so it's 1, 2. Okay, so together it's. Okay, now with a bit of practice, that's the 1st riff. Here's the 2nd riff. If you hold a D chord, you can use the open D note on the 4th string and the A note, which is on 3rd string, 2nd fret, which is the 1st finger of a D chord. So just them 2 strings. It doesn't matter if you hit the whole chord. You can do that as well if you want. And then he does a very common run in rock music. He does 2 notes on that, 2 beats, then to the C note, then to the B note, then to the A, barring it again. Okay, the C note, as we know, is the 5th string, 3rd fret. The B note, 5th string, 2nd fret. Okay, so again. With 2 beats each time. Okay, you go round twice. Back to the original riff. Okay, that's the 2nd riff. Now for this final riff, it's not really a riff, it's a selection of chords, which is just an E, F sharp, G, A flat or G sharp if you call it that, ending on a D. Okay, and it's a quick run, it just goes. Okay, 2 beats on each. And you're done. Now when I play it, and if you look at it, there's a hammer-on I use at the end. This could be quite tricky if you don't use hammer-ons. It can take some practice. But Randy California does use it every now and again. The bass player most of the time is doing it every time. But now and again, Randy California adds it in. Then back to the original riff. Okay, now you'll find that A note on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. And a hammer-on is just a note you hit, the open G string, and then you quickly hit your finger on and off it. And that's called a hammer-on. I suppose a hammer-on pull-off. So before you pull it off, you just flick it gently. Okay, so okay, it's got to be done quite quickly. Okay, and it comes in after this riff. You may have noticed there that I only played the top 2 notes of these chords. Okay, that's just so I find it easier, and Randy California plays it that way, and sometimes he plays it a strange way with. Okay, whatever you find easier. It's still in chords, it's only them 2 notes, or really that note that you need. Okay, so the first note, F sharp, G, A flat, they're the only notes you really need. But if you want to bulk it out a bit, use the top 2 notes of the power chord. Okay, or of the chord. It's not a power chord, that's just the bar chord. So it's that note there and that note. Okay, so it just goes. Then to the hammer-on. So I'll take you through it once more. All takes a bit of practice, but that's all it is, just practice. But now you've got all there, that's the 3 riffs together, put them all together, and this is how you should sound.